Well, let's hope our newspaper graphics are working a bit better, because we're going to talk about them now. Here with me to review the papers is the anthropologist Mariana Hotter and broadcaster and writer Edward Adu, who are all in good working order, I can tell. Good to see you both this morning.
Ready to go. Good morning.
Nice to see you both. You're looking very lively, and it's only 6:45. Fantastic. Let's get straight stuck in, Edward, shall we, with your first choice. This is the front page of the Sunday Express this morning. Rishi has 6 months to sort boats crisis. One of his pledges, of course, that he's going to try and tackle the number of boats crossing the channel. So what's this article's take on it?
So apparently, if he doesn't sort this out within 6 months, this could be crippling to Rishi and the rest of the government. It's claimed here in the piece that this could wipe out the Tories at the next election. Now, as you mentioned and discussed, this has been ongoing with Suella Braverman going to Rwanda, and the whole issue trying to get to send migrants coming over from the boats to Rwanda. The Prime Minister has pledged and said, listen, no illegal migrants. It's been controversial. I mean, there was a couple of weeks ago, the Prime Minister and Suella Braverman went to Colchester, and they were heckled by some people saying, we don't want you here. So it's a mixed divide. I mean, when I've had conversations with people on the radio, people have said, look, we have to be compassionate. We have to try and look from this from a different perspective. But clearly, the Prime Minister is intent on adhering to this pledge. But then also, there's the deal which was made with Macron and the French government as well, which won't be in effect until 2026. And I think that was on the region of about, I think it's about I've got my quote here. So I think it's about 500, yes. So 500 million over 3 years to help stop migrants. There's going to be 500 extra officers. I mean, some people will claim, is 500 officers enough? Is the deal sufficient? Would it work? So clearly, this is a big cloudy storm over the Prime Minister's head in order to try and solve this, because if it doesn't work, then it could be costly for the government at the next election.
Well, yes, interesting politically, and yes, as you say, whatever your view is on migrants coming here, no one wants to see anyone put in danger, and those crossings clearly are very dangerous. Let's move on to the Observer, shall we, Marianne? Their main story focuses on care homes and children being sent a very long way away from where they've grown up to care homes.
So this is on the basis of a series of freedom of information requests to local authorities, who are the bodies that effectively have the responsibility for children who are in care. So that's either in foster care or kind of long-term care placements. And the Observer found that more than 600 children are being placed more than 50 miles away from their residence, from their home or their borough. Now, obviously, for some children, that might be because of a safety concern or some kind of safeguarding issue. But for the majority of those children, it's simply because of a lack of support and suitable placements. And so they found that children from, for example, London are being placed in cities like Perth, Glasgow, Knowsley and Leeds. When you're a child and you're in care, you are already immediately vulnerable. At the point you've removed that child, not just from a home situation that might not be safe, but from their school, from their friends, from extended family that might be a positive support, from familiar clubs and activities, you are immediately placing that child in grave mental health and sometimes physical danger, because you're lonely, you're socially isolated, you feel like you've been totally abandoned by the world around you. However good and supportive that particular individual who's providing one-to-one care, maybe a foster parent or a key worker, that doesn't compensate for the fact that you've been utterly uprooted from the rest of your life. That would be incredibly difficult for an adult, let alone a child, a teenager who's already gone through so much trauma. And so this is basically, and there's lots of quotes from various different campaigners, but also organisations representing local authorities and the directors of children's services, saying this is symptomatic of a very broken system. And it does say that in the article, it reminds us there was an independent review that recommended that the government needed to spend £2.6 billion over 5 years investment into the system in order to protect our children. And they are our children because they're in the care of the state. The government last year in March pledged £200 million. So the target was 2.6 billion. They pledged 200 million, and sort of grudgingly they've said, OK, we'll give you another 259 million for care homes and basically a bit of pocket change to support foster carers. But this doesn't cut it, and it's an absolute travesty.
Okay, yes, and obviously I can't see a government response in there. No doubt they would say that money is tight in lots of different areas and they're doing what they can, but I don't know exactly what the government would say. Let's move on to the... Yeah, go on.
They say, look, we've spent a bit of money. We've spent 200 million pounds. We're going to spend another 259 million pounds. So, you know, yay. And you kind of go, no, that's not good enough.
OK, let's move on to the Sunday Telegraph next, Edward. They say on their main story, staff can sue their boss if customers offend them.
I mean, this is... don't know what to make of this. It's something which was put through by the Lib Dems as a private bill which went through. So, as you say, if you go to your local shop or you speak to your doctor, and if you feel as if that they're being offensive or they say something to you, in actual fact, you could sue them. Now, it took me back to a conversation I had with a specialist a while back who I went to see, and I was hoping to get some help from this specialist. I won't name them for legal reasons, and I will say that they did look like one of the characters from The Simpsons. I'm just going to leave it as that. And they said something to me which was rather distasteful. Now, if you know, in that sense, if I challenged that person and said, you've got no right to say that to me, they can sue the NHS, or they can sue them, whether it's NHS or private healthcare, they can sue them based on what I've said to them, simply by challenging them. Now, Jacob Rees-Mogg, the former business secretary, has said, serve the public can expect to run a public state in their business. I think this is going to be challenging for the Prime Minister as well, because, I mean, clearly this may be perceived to be another term of being woke, or another, or you can add it and call it wokeism.
OK, I'm hurrying you along because we're out of time, but we are seeing you again in the next hour. Mary Ann and Edward, for now, thank you.